Alright, so right in front of us, this particular structure here is our Cenotaph of Penang, or the War Memorial Building. This War Memorial Building is very special because it's built to commemorate the First World War here in Penang. So if let's say you know some basic about this, basic history about the First World War, not Second World War, First World War, you will know that this First World War is basically the war between the Europe nation. Most of the time, it was under the Europe nations. Have nothing much to do with Asia country. So basically it was the war between like the German, Poland and British, Russia and also France. Not really much to do with the Asian nations. But Penang is very special because Penang is the only place here in the whole Southeast Asia that being impacted by the First World War. So how it started? Way before at the years of 1914, when the First World War erupted, that time in China there is an island there known as Qingdao Island. So this Qingdao Island today is very famous for the Qingdao beer, right? So back then, that particular China island of Qingdao used to be under the control of Germany. So when the First World War erupted at the time, these German have actually instructed all the battleships from China to be to go back to Germany to prepare for the First World War. So that time in this Qingdao Island, they have a total of 5 battleships. 4 of them they actually went back to Germany through the Pacific Ocean, and they went back. And one of it, with the name of CS Emden, the battleship is known as CS Emden, has been instructed with a very special missions. These CS Emden battleships been instructed to come to Southeast Asia and to do some survey on the German properties in these areas. And these CS Emden ships, they be instructed not to have any battles with anyone here. So basically they want to need to avoid any battle. Basically their main purpose was to come to this Southeast Asia to look at their properties, their warehouse of these German, whether all of them in the good conditions, and let's say okay, and they can just go, right? So this CS ended the time after being instructed to come to Southeast Asia. Then that time Southeast Asia was under a huge control of British. So in order to make it easier, to have an easier path, they have camouflaged the whole ships of this CS Emden to look like a British Navy ships, right? They raise up the Union Jack and then they paint it with all the red and white color. They wear the British Navy shirts just to camouflage themselves from to look like a British Navy ships. So they start sailing to Southeast Asia, and at that time on the October 20 of this 1914, finally he sailed into these islands of Penang. Right? So when they pass by these islands of Penang, which is at 4 a.m. in the morning, so that time they sailed through the North Channel, they went round and then went through the North Channel areas and they came in. So when they came into this site, because the ships have been camouflaged, look like British Navy, the Fort Cornwallis that time, British soldier there, they didn't actually attack these ships. They thought that it's a British Navy ship and they let them pass through. So after they passed through the North Channel areas, when they enter the Middle Channel areas, the Central Channel areas, this German captain, which is the captain of these German ships, saw a Russian Russian ships. It's not even a battleship, it's actually a trading ship that parked at the harbour area in the Middle Channel. So when this German captain saw that, he felt that, hey, you know, he cannot get to his anchor because at the time, let's say you know some historic background, this German country, they hate Russia a lot. So when they saw these German trading ships that parked on the harbour side, this German captain cannot hold on to his anchor. So he's not supposed to attack, but he cannot hold on to his anchor. And what he did was at the time, he had blasted a torpedo over and blasted the whole the Russian ships, kills about 70 over people and 100 over people get injured. So after the Russian ships get destroyed, these German ships to flee the areas because he was on camouflage, so he tried to flee the areas. When he was trying to flee the areas, they met up with the French battleships that time was sailing through that areas, patrolling that areas. So these German battleships, they are very smart. They make a turn and then shoot another torpedo over and blasted over to these French battleships. It kills another hundreds over people. So that day alone, it ever killed more than 150 over people, and 300 to 400 people getting injured by that incident. And after that incident, this CS Emden ships has successfully flee away from the islands of Penang. Nobody know about this news. Even the British do not know what happened that time because of this attack was very instantaneous, and no British know what is happening. So when they try to find out, the battleships has actually flee these islands. This CS Emden ship finally, it was stopped by when he sailed downwards to the close to the Australia nations today. They met up with another British Navy ships.
Bandaraya Pulau Pinang. Tuan-tuan dan puan-puan, sila pastikan anda patuhi penjarakan sosial sekurang-kurangnya 1 meter daripada orang lain. Kerjasama anda amatlah dihargai. Sekian, terima kasih.
Right. So these German battleships have flee downwards to Australia areas, and finally one day they have met up with the British Navy near to the Australian coast, and they've been taken down by these British Navy ships. After they took down these British Navy, CS Emden, German battleships, the British found a book log or a diary inside the CS Emden, and it was recorded by the Germans on the whole background of the Battle of this Penang. And then only they realized the one who attacked Penang that time was actually a German. Before that, they do not know what happened, do not know who actually attacked Penang. But only after that, they only realized that happens. So in order to commemorate this event, finally they built up this war memorial building to remember all those have been sacrificed during this battle, right? Okay, go. Okay.